we've got people from all over the world here. Norm from Australia's in the house.
All right.
Ah, nice.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Norm.
Yeah, Frank.
So do we have Mr.
Jim,
Bryce
how are
on
you?
yet?
Yep.
Is he in?
Hey, Norm,
Evening, Mark.
Oh,
and
there's Mr. Bryce.
Maya's here
Hey.
from
Hey,
Wales.
Bryce, how you doing, sir? All right, everybody, time out.
Jim.
We'd like to welcome Mr. Bryce Gillett, the one and only, the magnificent, the man, the main man, Bryce. All right, take it away, Mr. Bryce. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fantastic since you got here. So I can eliminate that co-host, Mr. Frank from Federalist Pens. Yeah. Hey, when you give me Bryce, you're going to get the whole package.
Hey, I would expect nothing less, you know?
I'm a pen freak fanatic. I'm berserk. I'm crazy. And they will all verify that I'm totally nuts. So that's okay.
That's awesome.
Hey, but it sells. Okay, that's works. So there you go.
True.
All right.
Hey,
So
awesome.
I am going to turn over the show to Frank from Federalist Pens and Bryce. And I really appreciate you both being on tonight. We've been waiting for this event for some time. So don't blow it, Mr. Bryce. Thank you, sir.
I got you. Yeah.
All right, everyone, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for coming. Bryce, especially you. Thank you very much. You are tonight's featured guest of honor.
Yeah.
So if you want to get started and just tell everybody a little bit about LBA, what you guys do, what brands you guys represent, and take it away.
Yeah, sure. So Luxury Brands of America was started by my grandfather, Dick Egoff, some years ago. And also my grandmother, Martha Egoff. So they started the company. And then when they got to the point where they just, wanted to retire, they reached out to my parents to kind of take over. My mom was kind of always in the world because of my grandfather. So, they jumped on the chance, and that was 2013, I think, or 2014. And then, so they've been, and at the time, we just had Noodlers and Platinum at the time. And then I have been with them for 4 years, coming up in June, actually, which is crazy. And so we're about to move into a brand new, almost 7,000 square foot facility April 1st. So that's pretty exciting. We've been like literally on top of each other for so long that we're like, it's finally time. We need to move. So, so now we represent Noodlers and Platinum. Of course, we've been longtime representatives for them, but we also represent Waldman Pen from Germany, Banu Pen from Russia, Color vs. Ink from South Korea, D. Charles Leather from the United States, and Ink Visors. So we've kind of added quite a bit. We added actually in 2019, we added 3 brands in the matter of 3 months. So that was kind of a big undertaking. And then we I've just kind of been trucking along ever since. So, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
You guys have been great. You guys are an important distributor for me. I was really happy. You guys approached me like 3 years ago to join, and I was real happy about that. Yeah. Because I think at the time, right? I think you reached out like a few years prior to that, right? And at the time, I just started, when I just started becoming a dealer, I
think the Noodlers manufacturing wasn't at the point where we could, just pretty much anybody who wanted it, So I think we had to turn people away. And then when I think I was the one that reached out to you, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the rest is history between us and pen shows. Whenever we have those, you, Mark, and Tom.
I'm hopeful for DC, man. I'm hopeful.
I know. I heard San Francisco's happening, right? Is San Francisco happening?
Not that I know. I know Dallas is happening.
Yeah. Okay.
I know that St. Louis has gone virtual. So it won't be physical this year.
Yeah. I heard somewhere that I think someone emailed us at San Francisco. They're thinking it's going to happen, so that'll be good. That'll be good.
Mr. Bryce, can I ask you a question, sir?
Sure, go for it.
When did you start forming all this and putting it all together? How did all this come to be?
Like luxury brands in general?
Right, the whole thing, 9 yards. How you made a circle from number one, who started it, and how it got started, and how long has it been in operation now?
Yeah. So my grandfather Dick Egoff started it. Oh man, 2006, 2005, somewhere around there. And for before that, he worked for Sailor. He worked for Pilot. He worked for Pentel. He worked for pretty much any pen company, you name it. He worked for them, and then he decided to start distributing. And at the time, I believe we had Sailor and Kawika at the time, like way back when. And then he developed a relationship with Platinum, and then became the Platinum distributor. And then actually, it was kind of funny. He met Nathan Tardif, the owner of Noodlers, at a pen show. Just like I think it was the Commonwealth show. I think. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you know." He came home to my grandmother. Was like, "Yeah, we picked up this like little tiny, ink company. He makes it himself. It's out of Boston, like that kind of thing." And I remember I just had this conversation with my grandmother a couple of days ago. And she's seeing all the ink we're like getting out the door now, and she's like, "Man, I remember when we first started, our orders were for like 10 bottles of black." So it's definitely Noodlers has definitely like exploded since then, obviously. But yeah, so that's kind of my grandfather started it. He had Quico and Sailor, and then he kind of moved to Platinum and Noodlers. And then he worked on that for a while, and then my parents kind of came into it. So
nice. Yeah, from my understanding, your grandfather actually brought Platinum to America because it hadn't been here before, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, I think he was like their first like representative in the United States. That's correct. Yep. Yeah.
Really, really good.
So Bryce, if I can get in there a second,
yeah.
What is the hottest brand that you have that's just flying out the door? Do you have anything like that? Are they all on the same line?
Yeah. Well, Noodlers is really, really big for us. And I would say Platinum is like a really close second behind that. Colorverse Ink is like really coming up. Colorverse Ink's numbers have been just flying out the door. I mean, they have a new season of inks coming out that I think is gonna like just totally blow people away. It's gonna be great. And Benu was like really interesting. So Benu, like like they have pens that's like either you love them or you hate them.
Right.
It's like you're either really into the whole shiny glittery thing or you absolutely cannot stand it, So Benu was like really, really hot for us for a while. And then Benu tried to kind of do things a little different than they normally would, I guess. They kind of came out with a few pens that kind of went away from what Benu was. And so it kind of took a turn there for a little bit, but we went back to Benu and we're like, look, you gotta be Benu. You gotta go back and just be the crazy, shiny, glittery thing, that you are. And then they came out with the Scepters and Euphorias, and Benu's like right back in there, and they've taken off, But to answer your question, I would say number 1 Noodlers, number 2 Platinum, number 3 Colorverse, I would say.
Now, I know that the Noodler's Triple Tail is just dynamite pen, in my opinion.
Oh,
I just when Google over it, I would.
Oh man, yeah.
That sucker lays down the ink, and I love everything about it. Yes, Tony.
Hey, Bryce, how much input, just curious enough, do you have with the manufacturers like Benu? When you go to talk to them, like you mentioned, hey, we told Benu, go back to what you're doing. Do they listen to the distributors on this end?
Yeah. So a lot of times, It kind of depends really. So like Benu and Colorverse, they are absolutely amazing. We make a suggestion and they, you know, completely flip gears and they're like, let's go. I mean, I remember like we kind of came out. So like Colorverse has that, they only used to have the big bottle, small bottle, like package thing.
Right.
They're like, what you should do is come out with like a mix and match set, you know, and so people could try the different big colors without actually having to like lay down some money to get the big colors. They could try them first. And like literally 6 months later, they had an idea package. Yeah, there you go. And they had like the minis and like, it was incredible. Like it was just like literally 6 months later, it was boom, boom, boom. So with Colorverse and Benu, they're immediate. Now like Platinum, for example, Platinum's a much harder animal to tackle just because the Japanese and how they work, it's very conservative and it's very like set in stone, you know? So they're like, we have a way of doing things. This is how we've done it. This is how we want to do it. And, you know, so it's kind of hard to get them to change, but like, they listen to us quite a bit. They listen to us a lot more now than they used to. So like when all those Frank and Tom, you know, like the Aurora Borealis, the Aurora Pen and the Orokamon, like the big Azumos, those used to be on like the smaller 3776 body style. And so we came to him, we're like, look, if you're going to charge that much for a pen, it's got to be on like a big pen, right? It can't be like on this smaller pen. You know, you can't charge $3,000 and it'd be like, you know, that big. So they came out with all of those designs on the Azumo. It sold really well. And then that's kind of like when they were like, okay, we're going to start really like taking to heart what you guys say. And then God love them. But then on the other side, you have noodlers where it's like, you know, we make a suggestion and he's like, no. He's like, I'm not doing that. No. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, and he won't. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta have to take it with a grain of salt. You know, it really depends on the manufacturer and where they are too. So like you have to treat Russians like completely different than you treat South Koreans.
Right.
Completely different than you treat Japanese. You know, it's all very different. So yeah, man, I remember the one time though. Oh my gosh. So I had been working for my parents for 6 months, and the Japanese from Platinum flew into the United States and had a meeting with us when we used to live in Dallas. And I can't remember if they didn't tell me or if I just completely spaced out. But like when the Japanese hand you a business card, you don't like put it in your pocket or, you know, you always like leave it face up in the corner of the desk. Otherwise, if you put it in your pocket, that's like super disrespectful. And I put it in my pocket. And oh my goodness, it was they didn't say anything and they didn't make any noise, you know, they didn't get upset or anything, but I very quickly kind of like looked around the room, saw it, and like quickly took it out, you know. So, but like Germans, like they would be like, what are you doing? You know, like put it in your pocket. Why do you have it out? You know, so yeah. So we do have an input. It just kind of depends on the
You know, when Benu first came out, what's the lady's name from Russia? Remember her name?
Kate?
Yeah, whatever her name is from Russia. Yeah. She sent me quite a few pens to review and get online. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation, believe it or not, many times. Yeah. And I was talking to her about, I loved her pens. I think they're a good looking pen.
Yeah.
You know, they have a small nib, which is okay. I mean, I don't go all over the nib, but they are decent writers. And I was asking her about, you know, do you have any plans to putting on a clip on the pen? And she said, in fact, she said, Larry, we do. Thank you for asking. And they were working on that. So finally later down the road, they came up with the clip on the pen, which I like.
Yeah, especially like the Euphoria collection, the most recent one. We literally can't keep it in stock. I mean, that pen is just like flying off the shelves. Like we just got a shipment this week for it, and we're already almost out of like 2 SKUs of it. So I mean, it's crazy. And that's kind of like what we were telling them. Like, you got to get back to like Benu and the crazy glitter. But I think people just like really like the clip and the way the body looks.
Right. Yeah.
It looks more quote unquote like a pin,
Mhm.
to where like some of their designs, if you cap it, you're like, what is that? So yeah, I mean, they are an amazing company to work with for sure. Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah.
So do you know by chance, probably not, if Mueller's is going to come out with another new pen anytime soon? Or how does he unveil this to y'all? He just drops it on you, boom.
Yeah,
Bryce,
pretty much. He's like, hey, I made a new pen. We're like, okay, what is it? Do you have pictures? Like, do you have?
It's like, no, do you want it or not? No.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm sending it to you. We're like, okay. Yeah. So right now, especially with COVID and everything, we're having like a really hard time getting pins from India, because India, I guess, is still like really like locked up pretty tight, I think. Or they're just coming out of it, I think. So it's been really rough manufacturing wise over there. So I don't think we're going to come out with any new pins anytime soon. But I do know that he just kind of like revamped the Boston safety pin to where all the inner parts are metal now. They're, what is it called? It's like medical grade aluminum, I'm pretty sure is what it is. So it won't rust or any of that stuff. So, so that way, because we had some issues with like parts breaking on the inside. And so he's like, screw it, I'm just make the whole thing metal. So that's kind of new, I guess you could say. But yeah, with COVID and everything, it's been pretty rough. So I think we've just been kind of hurting just to get the pins that are already, in stock or, that we carry. So we kind of were like, don't come out with any pins, just like try to get us what you can get us, So yeah.
I got a question about the Benu pens.
Okay.
I'm more of a understated kind of guy. I like overlays and stuff, but the Benu pens were a little bit too sparkly for me. It looked like one of my last girlfriends. I was going to ask you. Just kidding. That's just a joke. That's a joke.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that later. Basically, my question is: have you noticed at the shows or whatever, the target market for the Benu pens would be a different buyer than obviously some older guys that have been more conservative in their likes. I think that's a great idea what they did, because trying to draw in more younger crowd, to get them into the hobby.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they I would definitely say at shows it's definitely the younger crowd typically goes, it's like they're walking by your table and it's like, oh, there's platinum, there's noodlers, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, ooh, what's that? Like every, right. And there's like definitely a good amount of people that are like middle-aged, older that, I remember this one guy, I think he was in San Francisco. I think he came by and he was telling me that he has like every Benu pin that they've ever made.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And he's like, I'm like the biggest fan of Benu. So you definitely have them, but I would definitely say the target market's the younger crowd for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's brilliant that they kind of went that route, because it does kind of capture the younger generation.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like the early one, like the Nebula, there's such a following for that, and it's like a collector's item now,
Yeah.
It's based on the Opal, but it was the Nebula, so yeah, they're like
right, yeah, and especially like a lot of people don't know, like the Nebula and the Symphony from that Supreme collection. The bottom of that pin is hand painted by Alex, her business partner.
Okay,
wow,
that it's incredible.
Wow. She was telling me it takes a few days to a few weeks to get these pins ready, because a lot of them are done by hand. They have to paint it.
Yeah,
a lot of work.
Yeah, oh yeah, and like we met them face to face at Paper World 2020 right before everything kind of got shut down, and I'm telling you what, that dude's attention to detail is crazy. Do I have a no crap, I don't have one on me. But so on the, I think it was a briolette where the facets are supposed to like line up, right? We were at dinner in Germany, and we were like talking to them about new upcoming pens, and we had our Benus out and stuff like that. And then he kind of looked across the table, and he can understand English, but he can't speak English very well. But he can understand everything we're saying. He just can't, speak it. And he kind of looks across the table and kind of like eyes the pen, and he's like, he motions for me to give it to him, and he like looked, and he was in like literally the facet was maybe like a 1/16 of an inch off. Like it just didn't line up perfectly. And he's like, I'm going to fix this. He's like, I have to take this back and fix it. I'm like, how did you even see that? Like, it was great. And it was like in a dimly lit restaurant. I don't even know how he did it, but the dude's attention to detail is incredible for sure. Yeah. So, and then, Frank, do you carry Waldman yet?
Actually, I do have some Waldman, and I even sent one. Yeah, I sent one to Larry too.
Nice.
I just held it up. Yeah, right here.
Yeah. I got the 805
nice.
in front of me here.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
He's got the Zetra in the, I think that's how you pronounce that. Zetra or Zetra? Yeah.
Yeah, so here's like the white Zetra Vienna right there. So that's hand engraved. Hold on, let me go. 1 second.
Do they have some heft to them, Frank and Larry?
Their average for them is about 38 to 42 grams.
Wow.
I'll wait for you right now, Tony. I'll change a second.
They're coated, they're lacquered, they're plated.
Yeah, so what's interesting about Waldman is they use the same lacquer company that Mont Blanc uses. And actually, luxury brands, we just kind of made a pricing change on them, because what we found is like between the stainless steel nibs, and then they come with 18 karat gold nibs as well, that sometimes like the difference was like $200 to like $500 in some cases, and we're like, no one is ever going to pay that for an 18 karat, to upgrade that, especially like when their stainless steel nibs are already super good anyway. So what we did as a company, we ate the cost completely of like being able to add the gold nib onto it. And we just made them all across the board $100 more for an 18 nib. So it's like, no matter what pin in the Waldman lineup in the United States, if you want an 18 karat gold nib, it's just $100 more.
Wow, that's heavy, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
So Tony, to answer your question, 37.4 G's.
Wow. That's nice.
It's got a nice weight to it. It feels good. It really does.
They don't appear to be too girthy though. They're
not that girthy. Let me see if I can.
They have let me think. Yeah, so there's two pens that they have that are girthy, and then I would say girthy and girthiest. The girthy
like the last
one,
girl I dated.
Yeah. Man, we were getting insight into Tony's dating.
Should have warned you about Tony.
Yeah. So the Press U, it's like Preuix, I think. That one is, I would say, the second, biggest one. And then the biggest one's called the Commander, and that thing literally, like, you could club somebody over the head with it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like probably that big. I mean, it's girthy for sure. I wonder, actually, I can look at the weight for you on
the polishing cloth
while we're waiting.
Right.
Yeah, polishing cloth. You get a 10-year warranty on the craftsmanship, on the finish. It's guaranteed not to chip or fade.
Yep.
Working parts, it's really, really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Quality, really
Yeah,
good
I'll be reviewing this pen pretty soon for you folks.
Oh, perfect.
And are they in-house nibs, or are they Bach or
Jovo? They're all Jovo.
Oh, Jovo. Okay.
Yeah. So let me get the specs for you.
Mr. Bryce, are they screw in?
Are they what?
Are the nibs screw in or friction fit?
Screw in.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and so let me get, where is it? Yeah, and also another thing to kind of go off of what Frank was saying. So the German government not too long ago ixnayed the whole lifetime warranty thing. They're like, what is a lifetime? Is a lifetime of the pins, a lifetime of the person, lifetime of the company? Like, we have no idea, right? Which is kind of always the interesting thing. So they, across the board, decreed that like companies in Germany are only allowed to have a 10-year warranty. Well, before that, Waldman had a lifetime warranty. And so basically, legally, they have to say 10-year warranty on like the box and the whatever. But actually, just not too long ago, they warranted a pen that was 25 years old completely for free. Yep. So it's pretty, I mean, their warranties, and I actually even had this one guy, he had a pen in his pocket. It was a Tango, and he just bought it like literally 2 days before. And he leaned over a pool table and bent the pen, I guess because of like his weight against it and everything. It was in his pocket in the right way or whatever. And Waldman was like, even though it's completely your fault, we'll still send you a new one.
Wow.
Yeah. So the commander in the fountain pen is 70 grams.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's
Like that,
it's
Yeah.
yeah. So that's let me try to get a picture of it for you. Yeah. So it's
Beautiful.
yeah. And it's got a hinge clip at the top. It's great. A really, really nice pen.
What does that something that you carry, Frank, or you can get?
Oh yeah, Frank can get it.
Yeah, we can definitely get it.
Frank,
Mr. Bryce, so when did Waldman form? How long have they been in existence?
Yeah. So they've been a company since 1918. So they've been around for a long time. And they primarily in the beginning didn't do fountain pens. They just did silver. So because a lot of their pens, or pretty much every one of their pens, has silver, like sterling silver on it, 925 sterling silver. So that's kind of like the heritage of the company, because they were like a sterling silver jewelry company to begin with. And then I think after the Second World War, they kind of started moving into pens, and then has kind of been that way ever since. So oh yeah, and also another thing I forgot to mention, they're out of Pforzheim, Germany. And the Waldman logo is a W, like the white shows you the W, but then the black is like trees for the Black Forest.
Right.
Because they're in Pforzheim. So I have yet to go to the Waldman manufacturing plant, but I've heard it's incredible. And all of their pens there are at least like 75% handcrafted. So like they either hand engrave the cap, like this pen right here. It's like hand engraved on that cap.
Yeah.
Or they, hand machine the barrel, or like that Commander with the lines in it, they hand machine that. So, a lot of it is, so like the lines on your pin, Larry.
Right.
Yeah, they hand do that. The machining right there.
And what is the barrel made of?
The barrel is just stainless steel or brass. I'm sorry, brass with black, white, or chocolate lacquer.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you on this pen, it's either black or chocolate, but it has kind of like a white line somewhere in there. So maybe they're doing some white in there with it or something, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
But it's kind of interesting. When I was looking at it, that got my attention immediately. For some reason, would it remind me of a horn on the steer when you?
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're saying, so because I'm senile. So anyway, so you're saying that you're gonna eat the bullet $100 extra for a gold nib.
Yeah, Correct.
Wow. Well, welcome to the jungle, Mr. Bryce.
Yeah. Well, so I was actually, it was, not to toot my own horn, but it was kind of my idea, because I was sitting there like looking at the Waldman price list, and I was like why, and like pretty much every brand we represent, our pricing is set by the manufacturer. So we have zero say of what we sell it to Frank for and what we buy it from Waldman for, like zero say. So, but in this case, we're like, okay, I was kind of looking at the pricing of it, and I'm like, man, no one is going to pay that much extra, especially when the nib is already that good. And so I went to my dad, and I'm like, all right, look, I'm like, we got to revisit this whole gold nib thing. And so we kind of looked at the numbers and everything, and we're like, okay, this is what we can do to where, we just break even on the gold nib part of the pen,
Right.
We don't make any extra money on the gold nib part, but we wanted to let our customers and our retailers and their customers be able to purchase an 18 karat gold nib without shelling out hundreds and hundreds of extras, hundreds of dollars. So we just did $100 extra flat across the board.
That sounds like a winner. Yep.
Right? That's what I thought too. So,
I think these things with that kind of price for a gold nib, I think you're going to get a lot of catches on this.
Yeah.
Is that even on the white diamond, etc.?
The diamond, the new rose gold diamond one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So,
$100 more.
is that going to be $100 gold nibs on any of the line of pins y'all carry on the Waldman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So from, as long as it has a fountain pen, obviously, because I think there's 2 pins in their lineup that's just roll. I think it's like the Eco and something else. But yeah, so as long as it's a fountain pen, yep, only $100 more for a 18 karat gold nib.
Wow. Yep. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, Frank. I'm feeling it. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I'm feeling it. So Mr. Bryce.
Larry's the best hype guy ever.
So, Mr. Bryce, if we don't see you here next week, we know your father got rid of you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I got fired. Yeah.
Son, I love you, but you got to hit it, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's actually so funny. So we basically, if Frank and Tom, if I'm MIA for half the day for the next however many weeks, it's because we're kind of working half the day in the office we're currently in, and then going and building furniture and moving crap to the new place.
Nice, congrats.
I was building desks all day. This afternoon.
That's no fun.
No,
none. So, Brian, you're going to be moving into a mammoth building, 7,000 square feet. What are you going to put in there?
Yeah. Well, so part of it is offices. So my office, my dad's office, my mom's office, and a couple of the customer service people. And then, how it actually is laid out, which actually works really, really well in our favor. The main floor of the main floor of the building that includes the office space is 5,000 square feet. So I think the warehouse itself is 4,000 or 3,500 square feet. But then what's really interesting, it has a second level that you go up to. That's 2,000 extra square feet that we're not getting charged for.
Wow.
Which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so it's we're just using it as storage and stuff like that. So it worked out for sure. I mean, we have been looking and looking and looking for forever, and we were going to move into a space beginning of 2020. And then that whole thing happened. And so we were batten down the hatches, and then the rent from our other place, came up. So what we ended up doing was moving it into my parents' basement. And because basically their basement spans the entire ground floor of their house underneath their house. So it worked for a year and a half. And then we, between me running up and down the stairs, trying to Frank's hey, do you have this? I'm oh, I don't know. So I ran downstairs, and we're all on top of each other. We're all right, this this has got to change. So,
Yeah, I bet your parents are saying like, Bryce, you got to go, buddy. You got to go. Like now.
yeah, they're
Gillett
like,
and
get
no
out of
Gillett.
my house.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, for sure.
So, Mr. Bryce, let me ask you another question. I got 1,000.
Yeah, go for
You
it.
could probably hang up on my face, but that's okay. But anyway,
No, go for it.
do you ever have anybody that comes to you and say that, you know, I want to buy from you? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever line of pens.
Sure.
Have you ever turned down anybody? If so, why? What's that criteria? What do you look for in a seller?
Oh, you mean like a retailer come to us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like a customer. I'm like, no, I just send them to Frank or Tom. Or,
Yeah. Poor Frank.
Yeah. So we definitely have. A lot of times when we, when someone wants to sell our products, we have like a credit application where we list credit references, and most of the time we call them. Sometimes we don't, but for the most part, we do like follow up on their credit references. And sometimes if they're like, yeah, they never pay, they're terrible, blah, 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 we're like, no. So
Next. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not easy. Let me tell you,
You did
like he
it,
mentioned,
Frank.
I approached them, like he said, when I first started, I was looking at a lot of different vendors and all, and of course, like who the hell are you? Who's Frank Limper? Great,
Yeah.
he's a collector, but does that mean he can sell pens? That's
right.
what it came down to. So I started with a handful of vendors, and here we are 5-6 years later. I'll be 6 years this summer, and
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
And
dealing with
let's
20
say
different
Frank-
vendors now, and all the brands I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Bryce said, it's not easy. It is a business. You do have to, have established business ties. You have to have it that way. You have to be known, and figuring that you can actually sell the volume they want you to sell.
Right. Yeah, and like what's interesting, I can only speak for luxury brands, but I know there are some distributors that, require certain things and other distributors that require other things. The only thing that luxury brands requires is for the first 40 to 60 days that you're paying advance, because we don't know you. We've never worked for you.
Right.
Our money up front because we don't know if you're just going to order and run. Right. And then number 2 is our opening order, minimum order quantity. After that, if Frank, Frank and I have done this before, Tom and I have done this before, where it's like, hey, I just need this one pen. Okay, that's fine. Because like we think it's we don't ever have, except for our opening order, we don't have a minimum order quantity because we believe it's our job to break bulk for these guys. We order, like the really large quantities so that they don't have to. That's our job. And I think some distributors kind of get lost in that, to where they always have an MOQ, or if a new brand comes out, you have to bring it in, or you have to bring in a certain amount. And, of course we'd always want our retailers to bring in every brand we want, we pick up and carry, but we never force anybody to do that. So yeah. And going back to the retailer thing also, I think the majority of people we turn away right now is Amazon retailers. We turn around. I probably get 10 Amazon, reseller applications a day, probably. And so most of them we turn away just because Amazon, it's so hard to keep track of everybody on Amazon. And a lot of times Friday night, they'll lower the price, when I'm not going to check, or, anybody in the office isn't going to check. And then Sunday night, they'll raise the price back up, so, and then it's in line with the pricing. So a lot of times if we turn people away, times it's Amazon people actually. So, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions that it would like to ask Bryce right now?
Yeah.
How about the Curidas? When they came out, they had the bugs.
Yeah.
And And so, and I'm sure that they've worked on correcting some of that that problem. But now I've been trying to order one from Frank for a while. And are there any indication when you're going to be getting more in?
Yeah, so actually we just did get some more in, just a few. So what ended up happening was they came out with the Curidas. What was interesting is that meeting that I was telling you about a few years ago where I put the business card in my pocket. They showed us a working prototype back then of that pen.
Wow.
So we've had to keep our mouth shut for like 3 years on that. And so it was, as we've had a relationship with them for so long, we've never had something like that happen to where, it was like a pandemic of a problem to where,
a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And so like so many people though, what was like really interesting was like, a lot of the feeds were cracked, and then I'm like, because we were getting so many people like, contacting us about it being cracked, that we had to say to people, well, is it writing fine? You're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, just write with it until it doesn't write fine, then contact me because we have no more pens, Because then what happened was the issue with the cracking happened, and then they got completely shut down twice by COVID. The entire country of Japan shut down twice. So that really hurt not only, making more pens, but fixing the problems too, because they couldn't be, in the manufacturing facility fixing like, what the problems were. But yeah, so we're really happy that they fixed it. The pens also now come with like a lubricating kit to where if it feels sticky, there's like a little kit in the bottom where you just lubricate the parts and you're good to go. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that was that was a stressful time. But yeah, Frank can get them now. What ended up happening was that they had to send our back orders to us in like 4 or 5 little orders. So so I would email out, hey, we have Curidas, and they'd be gone in 20 minutes. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
stopped emailing them. And I'm just like, kind of like going, okay, we have some, like, don't say anything, So we just got more in this week. So yeah, Frank can get them.
And I just sent a message to Jack too the other day, and
oh, did you?
I needed more. Yeah. And he said, we don't have any right now, but I'll let you know.
Yeah.
You're still on back order,
Yeah, they're coming. Yeah. So and then I think now our orders, when they come in, it'll be our entire order. It won't be like a little section of it. So that's good. But yeah, so that's a good question. That was man, I'm telling you what, that really sucked. Because we were at Paper World, and that was like Platinum's whole booth. Their whole huge booth was the Curidas,
Wow.
It was the big release of that year. And we were all so excited because we're like, man, this is like an $80 retractable fountain pen that's just going to, and it writes incredible. It's going to blow, it's just going to, get blown out of the water. It's going to be great. And COVID happened. And then, the cracks happened. We're like, so that was pretty rough. That was a rough situation to be in for sure. But yeah, so here we are, 2021. It got fixed. We're all good now. So,
are we at liberty to talk about the upcoming limited edition yet, or is that a no? This was the Cheyenne. This is 2021.
We can talk a little bit about it. We just can't like specifics.
It's too late. Now, guys. It's too late. It's already out.
Yeah. So the last series of this like Fuji Lakes, or I guess it's not lakes, but Fuji Shunkai series, that's what it's called. So you had the Shungo, the Kumbu, the Roka, the Shiun, and then this upcoming one. I almost said it. Whew, good thing I didn't say it. This upcoming one. And I think it's going to be probably next to the Kumpu. I think it'll probably be the most popular from a design standpoint for sure.
Can we say what color it is or no?
Huh?
Can we say what color it is or no?
So it's not clear, it's not blue, it's not green, and it's not orange.
So no, Frank is telling you he's nice. No.
Yeah. So from a design standpoint, I think this one's going to be the most popular. The Kumpu is super popular because
It was super popular. Yeah, it was amazing how well that took off.
Everyone loved that color.
Yeah.
And then with like the wave design. So
people still look,
say what?
People still look for that color. Look for that
man,
color.
I know. So
probably contact you every day, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people are, you have that? No, they literally came in our door and went out.
Wow.
But one good thing actually this year about the limited editions, Tony, this is kind of an example of how Platinum listened to us on this.
Right.
So for years, Platinum would only make, and like Platinum's popularity in the United States has been growing and growing and growing over the past, however many years we've been distributing them. And we're like, look, you can't produce the same amount of limited editions as you used to, because now, like, now, I mean, with the Kumpu, we got pre-orders for more than they made of pins. So like they only allocated us like 300 pins, but they made 1,500. And I think we had like 1,700 pins pre-ordered for that pin.
Oh, wow.
So that was a killer, right? So we're so finally we came to them and we're like, okay, what you need to do is get all the distributors from around the world to send in their pre-orders, and however, in the pre-orders you have to commit to. It's not like, oh, I want to cancel half of them now. I'm like, no, you can't do that. But once you send in their pre-orders, that's the number of the limited edition, so, and then every retailer gets as many as they have ordered, because what ended up happening is like, like the 3776, like the Kumpu came out and I got like death threats, they're like, oh my God, like we had 800 pre-ordered and we're only getting 100. This is ridiculous, which I can totally understand the anger behind it, but so they finally listened to us on that. And so this year, all the pre-orders that were made, you will get from a retailer standpoint. So that's pretty cool. Because I know like some retailers do pre-orders, and then sometimes, we were put in a bad position by Platinum, and then that puts you in a bad position to where, and then we have to tell you, hey, you're only getting a third of what you ordered. And then you have to go to, 2/3 of the pre-orders that you had and be like, hey, I'm sorry, you're not getting your pin. Here's your money back. That just sucks for everybody, know? So, and then that person doesn't get their pin. So, I think it'll be much nicer this year with everybody getting what they want. So
let me ask Frank, do you have gold nibs for the Wallman now, or do you have to order them from Bryce?
No, I don't have them on hand. They'd have to be ordered.
Okay.
But yeah, that could be done.
And you have them,
luxury brands.
You have gold nibs for them, right?
Yeah, Bryce has them on hand. Sure.
Yeah, we have them on hand. Yeah. Okay.
Tony, do you want to ask something?
No, I'm good. Bryce answered the question. The only thing I'd have to add to that last comment about the special edition Platinums is that obviously if you ask me, and I don't know because I'm not a vendor, but it seems to me that Kumpu was probably the most popular of that line at this point.
Oh, for sure.
And I've noticed that just by looking online. I own the Shiun and I own the Roka. And they're both wonderful and beautiful pens, but I noticed a lot more of them online, and some of them being discounted to try to get, on eBay or whatever. So they've not sold out as quickly as the other. And I know it's got to be difficult to project future sales on that.
Yeah. I think that is one had to do with the price kind of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which definitely made it a little more difficult, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
But
that's last year's. That's the purple one.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous pen. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And what I can say, another thing, Platinum will be coming out with another Azumo this year, which is pretty cool. Actually, Tony, another thing we've been harping on them for years about. So that's pretty cool. And then also starting April 1st, we're Platinum's not going to, but luxury brands is going to start including a converter with every 3776 from here.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, because you pay all these.
That's not funny. That's not funny.
They don't come out with a converter.
That's not funny.
So
April Fools.
No.
Nice.
That's not funny.
I'm totally serious.
So I'm glad.
Serious?
I'm glad that Platinum.
100% serious.
I'm glad
Not
that
joking.
Platinum is putting converters in them.
Yeah. And that kind of also ended up happening for us with the Curados. So with the whole crack feed things, we kind of made the decision as a company where we're like, okay, we should kind of put in a converter just to, make people just a little bit happier, so to where now they don't have to buy a converter. So we thought, the same thing with the Platinums. It was time, I kind of been harping on my dad about it. I'm like, dude, we have to start including converters. He's like, yeah, I know. And then so finally, it's happening April 1st. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it okay to mention something else happening April 1st too, Bryce, with Platinum?
Yeah, you can mention that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, March 1st, this past March 1st, a couple weeks ago, there was a price increase on some models.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are going to see a price increase on April 1st.
Yeah.
Most of them are
Yeah.
the 2776 models. So if you are interested in a gold nib platinum pen, you should be looking to buy them before April 1st.
Yeah. Because what ended up happening was actually Waldman was talking about this too. The price of rhodium in gold has just like skyrocketed over however many years. So they've tried to keep the price to where it was, and they're finally like, there's just no way, So I think off the top of my head, I think they're only going up MSRP about $20 or $30.
That's not bad. That's not
it's
bad.
not like 100 or anything.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But just like a little bump, I think. But,
Bryce, can we go back to the Commander for a minute?
yeah, let's do it.
Tell me about that pen. What's it made of?
Mhm.
Metal with lacquer on it. Is that right?
Yep.
What?
Yeah. So the pen's made of sterling silver.
Okay.
And the cap, that's black lacquer
Okay.
with sterling silver underneath it. And then they machine the black lacquer out, and then you see the sterling silver in there. And then like the clip, the top of the cap, and like the I think maybe the section where you hold is all nickel.
Okay.
Brass. Yeah, because they didn't want the places where where your finger hold, and like brass is obviously more sturdy than silver, so they want that on the clip and stuff like that. But the body and the cap of the pen is solid sterling silver.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And that one I believe runs for the stainless steel pen. Stainless steel nib is $350, and then the 18 karat gold is $450.
Wow. It's great.
You get like the amount of silver that you get with that, because I told you it's like 70 grams. I mean, it's
Right.
So is that a girthy pen?
yeah. I wonder if I can find like an actual like.
Sure, it's almost like
I don't have one on me.
Yeah, how slick do you figure the section might be, because it is you said it's brass plated, or
Yeah. So it's rhodium, or it's nickel plated brass.
nickel plated brass.
Yeah,
So
and they plate everything 3 microns deep as well. So even if you scratch it, it's not going to come off. Like you're not going to see brass underneath it, because they plate it like really thick. So kind of fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you and I aren't going to live nearly long enough to wear through it.
Yeah.
True. While you're
Tony,
yeah,
I'm talking to you, Tony, not me.
I know that. I know that. That's very true. I do want to, while he's looking that up, I want to make a point about the platinum nibs because, I'm one of those people that, that I hear people a lot of times saying the platinum nibs are too firm or like, so they have feedback. I love that because, my 3776s, even though they're smaller pens, my handwriting is better because I can actually feel the you can feel the paper. You've got
For
friction.
sure.
Control it much easier. So, I do love the platinum nibs a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So, and what a lot of people don't know about the platinum nib is that in order for platinum to make one nib, it's a 14-step, 2.5-day process to make one nib.
Wow.
And also, I believe the nibs, like over Sailor and Pilot, they go down into the pin, actually like into the feed of the pin, like about that much farther, because they actually have about 5 grams more of gold than Pilot. So that's also why you feel more of the paper, because the nib actually goes up into the pin farther. So it kind of acts as like a sounding board of the paper into the pin and into your hand. So that's another reason why a lot of people are like, and I also think it makes it a little bit more firm because there's more nib inside of the, the feed.
I love it.
So, that's something a lot of people don't know is that, their nibs are, and you should see in the Platinum Factory, they throw out a lot more nibs than they keep. Let me tell you what. I mean, the bin that they keep is like very small. The big bin that they get rid of and they're going to melt it down and redo it is huge. I mean, so their quality assurance is really, really tight on those pins. And so, yeah. Another thing actually I want to mention too, which is kind of interesting, Nikaya, which is like, the higher end platinums, they're all made in like the same, like under the same roof, So the Nikaya nib is the exact same as the platinum nib. And the artisans that work on the Nikayas are actually just retired platinum artisans, to where they don't want to work with as much volume that they need to as with platinum. So when you buy like a platinum Azumo with like all the makie and urushi and like all that stuff, you're getting the exact same craftsmanship that you would with a Nikaya. That's like double the price. You're just not paying for the Nikaya name, So that's just something interesting a lot of people also don't know,
One last thing about the platinum, is there someone there named Tim that works for you all? I want to say Tim. I'm maybe not Tim. I don't know.
Tim like with luxury brands or Tim like with platinum?
Well, with luxury brands.
No Tim.
No, well, there was someone I spoke to back in November. Now, I don't want to bring this up because I don't want people to think that they can buy nibs, platinum nibs from you all. But I called because I bought a President, and it was the nib was all messed up, and it wasn't a brand new pen. He gave me a price on a replacement nib. He said we don't normally sell them, but and I don't know if I'm still able to contact. I can't remember who it was now. But
John?
It might have been John. He gave me a price. He gave me a price on a replacement nib, and I wasn't sure. And I just for the rest of you all, I'm understanding that they don't normally sell platinum nibs.
So we aren't allowed to sell them to retailers to resell, but we are allowed to sell them to people if they're lost, damaged, or defective.
Okay.
And then pretty much like on a case-by-case basis, we'll kind of, we'll sell some to somebody if the, it's just like kind of a case-by-case basis if it's not damaged or defective. So that's kind of, because like a lot of times platinum, because we have to order the nibs separate from them. And so they send them in this, thing, and we have to go through it. And it's actually kind of, it's kind of interesting because a lot of people, when they buy a new nib, some people are totally fine just changing it out themselves. Other times, people are like, no, I'm going to send it to you, So platinum usually always says we want them to send them to you, but we're like, listen, if you say,
Easy.
then go for it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I've already had it out a couple of times, so it's easy.
Yeah. But yeah, we definitely do. We always do everything we possibly can, you know, within the guidelines of our contract with Platinum and our contract with our retailers too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also another thing that we take very seriously is, you know, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our retailers as well. So yeah, we always do everything we can though, you know, and most of the time, like we pride ourselves in having like the best customer service possible. So most of the time, if Frank has a problem, if you guys have a problem, we will fix it or replace it. I would say 98% of the time for free, no questions asked, you know, unless, you know, like you just drop it completely straight on the nib, you know, and we're like, well, you can't really, you know, but most, you know, like I said, we do everything we possibly can. So yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So
I wanted to get on and talk about paper.
Yeah.
Nebula.
Let's do it. Yeah, where's mine? Yeah, the new Nebula note. So they have the Nebula note that Frank just showed, and then they have the Nebula note, the premium one. So the one that Frank has is with the 52 gram Tama River paper, and then when the colored one is the new premium paper. And man,
90 gram Japanese, right?
no, so that's their proprietary owned 90 gram paper.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about that in a second. And Larry, if you want me to send you some to review to test out the paper, I will.
Do it.
Yeah, but man, I'm telling you what. So we used to distribute a notebook line, and they were like, hey, our paper is great for fountain pens, and we tested it, and we're like, you kind of need to like change it a little bit, and they didn't like hearing that very much, you know. So after we parted ways with them, Nebula is a sister company of Colorverse Ink. So
Okay.
you know, when we started distributing Colorverse, they're like, hey, we also have these notebooks or Nebula, blah, blah. And we're like, okay. And they sold really well. And then they came to us and were like, hey, we're going to do a premium line of notebooks, but we're going to do our own paper. You should have seen everybody reading that email in our office. We're like, oh God, no. Like, please, for the love of God, no. Because anytime someone makes their own paper, it's like, it's really hard to compete with Tama River or, you know, like all the big guys, you know? But I'm telling you what, leave it to a fountain pen ink company to make great paper. Holy crap. That stuff is incredible. Like, we've sent it to quite a few people like on Instagram and everything. And every time we send it to somebody, they're like, this is our go-to ink swatching notebook. Because, I mean, you can just literally, I remember Clarissa from the Snowy Studio, she literally basically just like dumped ink on the page to where it was like rippling and it still didn't bleed through on the other side. So it was, I mean, obviously you could see like ghosting where you could see,
Yeah.
you know, but it didn't even come close to bleeding through. Another girl that was writing with it was writing with this like double broad, like kind of like a triple tail sort of pen that just was ink. And she saw it was like literally like pooling on top of the paper. And because it's not coated like Rhodia or anything like that, it absorbs really well. So the drying time is actually pretty quick on it. And she was like, oh crap, this is definitely going to bleed through. And she turns it around. She couldn't even see it. So we're really, really happy with that. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic fountain pen paper. It's kind of got like a little tooth and feedback, kind of like Lectrum does or something like that. But they also came out with a planner line as well that is specifically meant for like people with fountain pens that want to like, you know, ink swatch or something like that, to where they have like a little, like if you want to do an ink a day, you can do that on there. So they kind of thought of everything, really. It's actually, they did a really, really good job. So
cool.
Yeah.
Now, how would you compare that? See, I usually buy my endless recorders from Frank. That paper, and that paper is really, really great paper. Okay.
Yeah.
How would you compare that paper to that?
I can probably help best with that. The Nebula Note, the original one, is 52 gram Tomoe River.
Okay.
It comes cream, it comes in white, and these are plain, and these are well liked. The Nebula Notes were real popular.
Yeah.
And they've come out, like Bryce said, with the newer deluxe that comes in different modes and different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce can pick up from there on that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Nebula, the new premium ones come in lined and blank, and then the blank ones come with a bunch of different inserts that go behind the paper. So you can do a dot, a line, an oblique, calligraphy one. So there's a bunch of other stuff that you can do with it. But in terms of like how the paper feels compared to the endless, I would say it's just like a little toothier than the endless. When you say, Frank, just like a little bit.
The endless is 68 gram Tomoe River, you know. So
yeah, and this is 90 GSM, so it's definitely thicker paper, and that's why it handles ink so well. Is just because, I mean, you got a lot of paper for it to absorb the ink in, you know. But yeah, I would say in terms of like feathering, being able to like sheen, shade, and shimmer, you know, the lovely 3 S's, and then bleed through ghosting, I would say it performs just as good.
Is it white in color or cream?
White.
All right, Stan, you wanted to ask a question. You're on mute right now.
He just answered it. The question I had, he just answered it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I wanted to see, you know, does the premium notebook shows the ink properties compared to Tomoe River, and he just answered it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very, very similar. So if you have an ink that, you know, because Tomoe River, I think the one thing that, I mean, Tomoe River does so many things great, but one thing that Tomoe River has done better than I think than any other paper before that is how it shows shading of inks on them. I mean, like you can put an ink on one paper and then you put it on Tomoe River and you're like, oh, that's how it's supposed to look, right? And it's like that every time. And I think the Nebula is very comparable to that. I will say I don't think it like sheens like as much, if I'm being honest, maybe just like a hair less, but it still does a really, really good job. And I think where you kind of lose its ability to sheen as much as it does as Tomoe River, you gain in the fact that you can literally just dump ink on it and it won't bleed through, you know? So, yeah.
I definitely want to add that the Tomoe River, the new paper is totally different than the original. The new the formula, it's not the same paper. I've got 4,000 sheets of it. Now I find out after I ordered 4,000 sheets, it isn't the same. Although it's still good paper, but it's not going to sheen near as well as the original. And I'm asking for those people that don't use notebooks as much as like I've got more notebooks than I need. Do they offer that paper in a pad? There's like the one that's in that premium.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like, do they offer it in just sheets?
Yeah, sheets or a pad that you tear out and perforated.
Not yet, but I honestly wouldn't put it past them to come out with
Like
it.
that?
Yeah, no, like a Tomoe. Yeah, but I have plenty of Tomoe. I'm asking for this other paper.
Okay.
Bryce was asking.
Yeah, that's actually something that they'll probably come out with. Honestly, you know, Colorverse is really good about that. They're like, oh, hey, they have that. We're gonna come out with that, but we're gonna do it better. You know,
Right.
I'm sure they're gonna come out with it. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Really, really good ink and really well loved. The Colorverse, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Like you said, 7 seasons now, and then a couple other special editions. So there's like 10 product lines now.
Yeah.
The Office,
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Ordinary, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the glistening series, that was huge because like everybody, you know, it'd come with the big bottle and the little bottle, and always the little bottle was like the glistening, right? And so people were like, but I really am just buying all this ink just to get this tiny little 15 ml bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to Colorverse and we're like, hey, what you should do is come out with a series of just all the glistening. And then like 3 months later, they're like introducing the glistening series. And we're like, thank God, you know? So, and
It's
people,
great that they listen to you guys. Yeah, that's real.
yeah.
Real important.
And so then we came out with our ink, the Stars and Stripes, which comes in glistening and non-glistening. So it's a blue ink that sheens red, and then has the ability to, if you want it or not, has like white or silver glistening in it. So red, white, and blue, Stars and Stripes. So we came out with that last year. Yeah, and then they're coming out with season 7 soon. That I can tell you because, or can I? Yeah, I can tell you. I'll give you guys something. So it'll be like, it's called Eye on the Universe, and so you're gonna see like a lot of like, you know, nebula kind of colors coming through. So like tons of sheening, tons of shading. It's gonna be really, really cool. And based on how many bottles were pre-ordered, I think everybody thinks it's gonna be great too. So I think it's gonna be
Nice.
pretty sick, I gotta say. Yeah.
I wanted to show what their 5 milliliter sample looks like too.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the few inks I actually don't even have to sample because they come out with their own 5 milliliter, and this is their famous, you know, like teardrop bottle that
Yep.
everybody knows about. It comes in all different sizes now.
The cutest
Like
little
Bryce
thing
said,
ever.
5
Yeah.
milliliter, 15 milliliter, 30 milliliter, 60 milliliter, you know, yeah.
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 Yeah. There's pretty much anything,
Amazing.
you know, anything for everybody, you know?
How much do those 5 milliliter bottles run?
They're 7 each, and they're 3 for $19.50. That's a Colorverse offer.
Wow.
They come in a 3-pack.
I was looking at your site, and
Yeah.
there's a box set of them. If I'm
Yeah, that's it. The 3 of them. I allow you to choose. Like when I get them from the guys, that's because that's how Colorverse sends them. They send them like 3 in the pack of the same color. But I
No, I
break
meant-
them apart and I put them. I make my own sets. Yeah, I make my own samples.
I saw something that looked like a 35 pack of them.
Oh, the standard model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the briefcase.
there's no
full of
price
ink.
tag.
Yeah, the briefcase of ink. Yeah, I think that's still, so that's like a limited edition. I think we still have some of those actually. And yeah, it's 35 inks, and it's the basically the elements that like create life, I'm pretty sure. Or
Are
yeah, that kind of
those
thing.
the 5 milliliter?
Yeah, they're all 5, or are they 15? I think they might be 15 actually. Let me look.
I know what he's talking about, but I don't remember offhand because I don't even have it on my site. Yeah.
Let me look really quick.
We can get it, Bryce. Let me know. Yeah, but yeah.
You guys talk while I look at this.
I just happened to peek and see that you guys had what looked like a display case, but
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I have.
sale. No, on Luxury Brands website, there's like a tiered looking device with like all these.
He's
inks
talking
in it.
about the actual display that I
Talking about
had.
The Colorverse mini display.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Are you talking about this?
No, he's talking about the
No.
actual display that you guys have sent me, that Colorverse has sent me as a dealer.
Yeah. For the minis. Yeah.
Entire display. Yeah.
Yeah. So Marilyn,
That's
so
just for the box.
like the
It's
briefcase
meant
of
to
it.
show. Yeah, it's meant for us dealers to have them. Like I have that at my mall shop. You know, I have that there, and I will bring that to pen shows when we actually have them again, because that came after we had the lockdown. You know, basically,
Right.
we didn't have the pen shows. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Now, can we just make those for all of the pen inks? Thanks.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, going back to Marilyn, what you were talking about with the standard model, that briefcase of ink, it's
Yeah.
35 inks, but it's the 15 milliliter bottles, not the
Oh,
5.
I see.
Mhm.
Tell me about Colorverse. Are they? I can't believe I don't own any Colorverse. I cannot believe.
Oh man, you got to change that.
Well, tell me, is it lubricated ink? Is it saturated? Because I don't know a lot about it.
So I wouldn't say it's like lubricated in the sense of, you know, when like noodlers eel inks are lubricated, you know. But yeah, I mean, they definitely flow really well.
Good.
Thing that I actually find really interesting with Colorverse is the CTO is a chemical engineer. And so, I mean, the dude like really knows what he's doing. And like on each box of ink, they put the surface tension of the ink. So I guess that gives you, an idea of like, you're like, okay, this flows really well, or if it doesn't flow really well, you can figure out what surface tension that is based on what colorverse ink you have for your pen. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, they have some pigment inks, but not very many. I would say for the most part, they just focus on really beautiful colors that either sheen, shade, or shimmer. And yeah, so.
Wonderful. I guess, Frank, I'll be giving you a call.
I have this little tiny bottle, and this is my second bottle of this. Chris Sines gave me the first one, and it's so nice to just have an ink that dries.
Yeah.
Within a relative amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's great for calligraphy. I can't say anything better enough.
Gravity Wave is an awesome color.
I love this color, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce, I'm into really nice, beautiful blues that pop, green, browns, blacks, reds. Do you have, what do they carry that I would find interesting, because I'm very picky?
Okay, yeah, sure. So first thing that comes to mind in terms of blue is Supernova. Supernova is amazing. It's probably one of the most popular blues of Colorverse. As well as you should look at Crystal Planet if you're kind of looking at like a lighter blue.
No.
It's really nice. Not lighter blue? Okay. So Supernova is probably more up your alley. And then I would also look at Ham. Ham, it's like Ham number 65. That's like a darker blue. I would almost say it's like a blue-black kind of. And then that one also has, I think that one kind of sheens like a little gold, which is actually kind of cool, but like very faint. It's not anything crazy. So if you're not into sheening inks, you don't really have to worry about that.
I just remembered that I have Colorverse Cat in here somewhere too.
Everybody loves that. Yeah, it's like
Colorverse Cat. If you like a blue, that glistens, Colorverse Cat, you're welcome. If you haven't, just go buy it. Trust me, it's amazing. You'll love it.
like a sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking green, Colorverse actually in the project series that they just came out with bluish green, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Frank's holding up the dirty red from that. That
is really nice too.
It's really nice red.
The bluish green and this are really nice. In
and like one of the most popular colors that they requested, that we've had requested from Colorverse, is to make a shimmering black ink.
Ah, that would be interesting.
So they came out with it. It's in the project series, and it's called Shiny Black.
It's shiny black.
You got that? All right. That's
And it has silver fleck in it.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
I'll be darned.
Amazing, yeah.
All right, Tony, you need to buy some.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I'm curious about the particulate though. Is it as you have to still be careful about the pens that you use? Oh, it's beautiful. Do you have to be careful about the pens you're putting it in?
So I have never, in the 2.5 years that we've been distributing Colorverse, we have never, and I mean, I'll always be honest with you guys. Literally, we have never had an email saying like one of their glistening inks ruined or clogged my pens. Not a single email. It's crazy. Actually, I don't think we've received an email at all about Colorverse having a problem with their ink. I think one time there was this incident that there was like some mold in like a couple of the bottles, but that was it. It was literally it. So yeah, I mean, whatever Colorverse does, it's fine enough to where it flows out of your pen perfectly fine. And yeah, I mean, I would not hesitate, honestly, for me personally, I wouldn't hesitate to put Colorverse Cat in like my $3,000 Azumo. you know.
Just don't put
Wow.
diamond blue lightning in there because that stuff really clogged all of my pens until I
Did
figured
it?
out it was
Oh man, that's the
it's
worst.
too much. Yeah. Don't
Yeah, I have
do
a
it.
pretty funny story about Noodler's Bay State Blue though.
Oh, who
Hey,
doesn't?
they stay blue rocks.
Yeah, right. Okay, so one of the funniest stories that I tell like all the time. So if you've heard it, just put me on mute. But so it's pretty funny. So a couple years ago, before I was like officially working for my parents, so it was about 6 or 7 years ago, my parents got a phone call from this guy and he was like panicking. He was like, is Bay State Blue toxic? And they were like, no. I mean, you know, you don't want to like, you know, mix some vodka with it and go to town, but like, you know, you get it on your skin or like drink a little or whatever, you'll be fine. And he's like, oh, okay, thank God. And they're like, why? He's like, I just had a brand new bottle of a 4.5 ounce bottle of Bay State Blue, and my daughter, who's blonde and 4 years old, poured it on top of her head.
Oh,
I saw the video of that. That was
Oh my God. And I'm telling you what. So
Wait a minute.
something
Wait.
out of Willy
video
Wonka
of
and the
it?
Chocolate.
You
No,
stopped to take a video of it.
No,
No,
not
no, no,
of her
no.
doing it, but just after
So
that.
and then what ended up happening was, and then she thought it was like really funny. So and then she rubbed it all over her face and into her hair. So and then the guy goes, my wife is literally going to kill me, number one. And she's like, number two, our floor is completely ruined now, you know. But number three, my daughter also looks like a Smurf because she was literally blue with green hair. And so my parents were like, okay, we don't ever normally do this, but like, can you send us a picture? Like, we promise we won't post it. We promise we won't like send it to anybody. You have our word. We'll sign a contract, whatever. We're like, we have to see this. This is like, sure enough, she literally looked like a Smurf, like a literal blue with green hair Smurf. It's crazy.
Oh,
the good news is she's got a job in Vegas, part of the Blue Man Group.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Didn't you know the Blue Man Bay State? You know? Yeah.
I'm just curious. Did you give her a free bottle of ink and to replace it?
I think we did. Yeah, and the thing of ammo decks. I'm pretty sure.
Does Amodex work on Bay State Blue?
You know, actually, the only thing that we found, so Amodex does work on Bay State Blue, but it depends on what you get it in. You know, depends on how absorbent whatever you get it on is. We've spilt it like in the warehouse floor, you know, on concrete and stuff like that. Bleach gets it out, no problem. You just like let bleach sit on it, it'll take it right out. But the problem is with that is that you have to make sure whatever you're putting bleach on won't harm whatever you're putting bleach on top. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, I got the Bay State Blue out, but I totally destroyed my counter because of the bleach, you know? So kind of, you know, but yeah. So that's always a fun story to tell.
but I love Bay State Blue. I use it on certain pens, and that's about it. But I love it.
Yeah, and like what I always tell people, podcast with Pinboy Roy not too long ago, and he was kind of grilling me about the Bay State Blue too, and I'm like, look, all you got to do is just take a pen and just designate it as your Bay State Blue pen, and then you'll be fine. It'll stain the crap out of the pen on the inside, but it's okay because it's your Bay State Blue pen. You know, like the color is good enough to just kind of like ride the lightning. You know what I mean? So it's yeah. So some people do it. Some people don't like to do that. But yeah. So yeah.
Awesome.
Frank, did you have any more pens you wanted or something to share, inks or something?
I'm good. Let's talk about your latest brand for LBA, guys, the D. Charles Leather.
Yeah. So D. Charles, they're great. So they have single and double pen sleeves. They also have notebook holders that right now the only size that they have is kind of that fits what are they called? Field notes, if it field notes. And then also they have a pen wipe case, which now they just came out with, so Frank's trying to show, and so each case color has a corresponding stitch color, which also has a specific like interior design in it as well. So They have everything from camo to flowers to, you know, paisley to, you know, like the Burberry pattern, the Burberry plaid pattern, or just plain colors. So there's kind of something for everybody, number one. Number two, they all their leather is top grain leather. So they didn't go with the full grain because they felt that full grain was going to be too stiff for the pins, and you'd never be able to get your pen out because it's so thick of leather.
Right, right.
Top grain, which will still look, you know, more beautiful the more you use it. It'll still protect your pen really well, but it won't be as stiff. So that's one really good thing. And then another thing, so the pen wipe case is something that's like really kind of caught on. Is, you know, if you ever are, you know, walking around and when you fill up your pen or change out your pen and you're always like wiping your pen off with like a paper towel or something, they made like this nice little pretty leather case that has these camis in it that you can take the camis out, buy new ones, stick them in, you know, like snap them in. And so and then you never have to throw away the case, because before what ended up happening is that the camis were like stitched in. And that was we were kind of like, well, what happens when someone uses up all the camis? Then they have to throw the whole case away. That's kind of stupid. So they were like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So they made it removable. So that just came out actually like this week, I'm pretty sure. And so yeah, they're great. They're really, really great stuff. Made fountain pen people for fountain pen people. So
good. Yeah, this is the triple tail inside the single hide case.
Yep.
Yeah. All up to the end here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The triple tail, the AHAD basically is a pretty long pen. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit of a break-in period, but it's.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I know like Galen leather, for example, they literally give you like a wooden tube or like a wooden stick to like stick in your because their leather is so stiff. So yeah, there definitely is like a little bit of a break-in period with the D Charles. So if you want it more loose, put a bigger pin in there.
Right. Yeah, I had one Galen leather, and I put either a 149 or a 159 in there, and I just let it sit in there for weeks and weeks and let it sweat a little bit because it's so tight.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you know, it'll loosen up for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that triple tail have a nasty smell to it like the
No, so the triple tail, so the triple tail is a new cotton butyrate blend.
Oh, good.
Smell. So that
smell like the other.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I saw the other day someone was like, hey, Noodler's pens, they might smell, but they don't stink. You know? So and I'm like, thank you for that new tagline. I'm gonna steal that and we're just gonna run with that.
The triple tail is definitely my favorite. It's the one that I represent, I sell. Now that I know about the new safety pen having all metal internals or something, you know, I'm interested again in that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. The triple tail is, you know, it's a 3-tine flex nib. So when you flex it, it'll go like this, you know, and it lays down a crap ton of ink. Like, it is ridiculous.
And it doesn't blur forever.
I mean, you can't beat it with a stick. I mean,
no,
you're going to be like flabbergasted. You're going to be blown away with it. At least
almost like a music nib, wouldn't you say? It's similar.
Oh,
close,
for sure.
Close to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, you know, like going off of like Platinum's music nib, you know,
nothing like that.
Yeah. With a Platinum's music nib, when you draw down, it's wide, and you go across, it's thin line. It doesn't do like that. It's pretty much like it's a beefy medium nib all the time, pretty much. There's no like line variation until you start flexing with it, you know. So yeah, it's a little different, but it definitely still has, I guess, that kind of aspect to it, you know.
Frank, I can't find noodlers on your.
Can't find noodlers on my site. Under fountain pen inks, it would definitely be in there. Yes.
I was looking for pens. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
The only complaint I ever had about the Flex was lady said, "What am I going to do with all that ink it puts down?"
See, that's what I like right there. Fire hosing, baby.
Yeah. Oh man. So this is kind of funny. So speaking of the triple tail. So on the Noodlers Inc. Instagram the other day, I posted this video of gourmet pins doing this writing with the triple tail. I'll let this finish and then I'll say what this person. So you can see it like, I mean, it does like a really, really good job with laying down that ink. But so this one guy on here goes, where is it? 6 to 8 hour dry time and fully cures in 30 days. Like, yeah, pretty much. A lot of ink, you know? So, yeah. So what have we gone over? We gone over Noodlers, Platinum, Waldman, Colorverse, Benu. Yeah, I think we've
covered everything. Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah, we did good.
We're going to start winding this down. Does anybody have any questions for Bryce, the main man, the only man?
Yeah.
All right.
I did.
All right, Tom.
My first Benu before they had any distribution in this country.
Okay.
I went straight from her. It was purple. And those of you who know me, I only write with purple ink and everything's purple. But I also bought, I don't know what to call it, a desk stand.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Crystal thing.
Yeah.
You can put the whole pen right in.
Yeah.
They still even sell that?
Yep. So actually,
how many, well, I was wondering, how many pens do they sell? One of those for every 50 pens or one for every 5 pens? Or
of the crystal ones, yeah, so it's
roughly.
Yeah, so it's a good question because like a few years ago when they only had a few pen lines out and like the Briolette was their most popular and the Briolette luminous blue was like the same color. So they had the blue, the orchid, and the sapphire. They had the blue, you know, they had the crystal stands that kind of corresponded with those three. So back then they used to sell like a lot of those, but now it's definitely, you know, kind of wound down a lot more and people are just kind of going directly for the pins now. But what Benu actually just came out with that we're going to launch as soon as we move into a new warehouse because we don't have space for them right now. As they came out with desk accessories, which is pretty cool. So phone stands, cups, they even have like a succulent holder, which is really cool. Actually, I think I have a picture of that. So I think those are going to be really, really popular. Paperweights, they have paperweights as well. And then other pen stands that look a little, personally, I think they look a lot better than just like the tiny little crystal one. They've really, really like upped their game with that. But yeah, so now not as many as we used to, probably like one for every 50 pins, probably. Yeah. I'm going to try to find that thing.
Yeah, like I have the luminous blue with the stand in stock. I have a few of them.
Yeah, so you can kind of see like behind here, that's like their new paperweight.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. But yeah, so they have some really, really cool stuff coming out. And yeah, here we go. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so then here's the succulent holders.
I like it. I think it's good looking.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. You know, they're very Benu, you know. So yeah, they came out with this new line of desk accessories and stuff like that. So that's coming out soon. So, yep.
All righty. Anything else before we about to say a la vista, baby?
Can I just say, Bryce, it's been a pleasure seeing you. And I want to mention to everyone that's never been to a pen show, you guys have a real fun table. You always have.
Thank you.
And I remember you in St. Louis being at the bar and having a good time. I was there having a drink with all of you. It was great. A lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, we love doing pen shows. It's a really good chance for us to meet you, you know, everybody And because we talk to retailers all the time, we don't get to interact directly with the customers a lot. And so that's always a really fun time for us, for sure. We miss them, you know.
Well, Bryce, thank you for joining.
Yeah,
us. It was really an honor to have you on today. Truly
thank you
was.
so much, everybody. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
We learned a whole lot from you today. Really, some great information, I think. And you know, we're going to have to do this again in a few months. Don't say no, because I won't leave you alone.
yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Yeah, not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Federalist Pen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for all your help. And you know, if y'all need anything from Frank, give him a holler. He's right there. He's not bashful.
Yeah, go get him.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we're going to say goodbye. Hey, thanks everybody for showing up today.
Thanks. Appreciate it.